everybody, so glad you're here. I wanted to do a video today based on the kind of look that was created in my AI photos. So last week I hopped on that trend where you get onto this app, it's called Epic, and you can submit some photos of yourself and then that app will turn them into like 90s yearbook photos and you get tons of them. You get like 60 pictures or something. I did pay $5 for this. I also did it for Bub. The pictures that it turned out, I thought a lot of them were actually like, wow, really good. I was expecting to see myself, I don't know, morphed a little bit more into a different looking person when really I could totally see like that's my face shape, that's my nose, that's my eye. They really played off of my actual pictures that I put in. However, an interesting thing I noticed with almost every one of my pictures, and it was odd because I've seen other people's AI generated pictures and they looked more natural almost, like in the face. I did have some makeup on in the pictures I submitted, but with almost all of these, they made the eye more dramatic and they went with almost more of an almond kind of cat eye or fox eye, you know, with going way into the inner corner, making the eye look more elongated and just kind of dramatic in almost all of my pictures, except like the baseball one, the softball one. And I thought that was interesting, and I've been playing around kind of trying to recreate that type of look, and that's kind of the fun thing about this. I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, everybody needs to look like their AI photo or whatever. Like, no, you just do what you like to do. But I found it kind of inspiring to see my face with a different look on it, you know, and a look that still felt kind of attainable to me. Like, okay, I can turn that out in my everyday makeup if I wanted to. So a couple of the pictures I really liked best. I loved, like, we'll call this Rebel M, like the one where I had like the black jacket on. The hair looked really cool toned and deep, and I definitely had this kind of eye that I'm talking about where it goes all the way to the inside. The eye seems a little bit more elongated, very sultry eye kind of look. They gave me that in almost every picture. And then also I like the one where the hair was kind of like half pulled up, and you could really see that in the eyes also. I feel like this is a look I'm going to be able to recreate on myself, okay? So I'm gonna start off getting my skin just a little bit deepened up. So I'm going to use some of my Lumi Glotion in the Deep Glow shade. This was the first shade of this that I ever really got into because I just like how it gives me that little bit of bronziness. So I'm going to dab this around and then I'll just blend it in with the brush. Already got my skincare and sunscreen on. I do feel kind of bad because there are some people who saw my pictures that I posted on Instagram and I think they thought that these were my real pictures, like actual photos I had taken of myself. And no, these are AI generated just based on some pictures that I submitted of myself. And I was just surprised how they turned out looking so good, really, because the pictures I put in were not anything professionally done or anything like that. They were just kind of random. But there were some in the mix where I thought, okay, in order to maybe fit some kind of template pose that they were putting it in, I could see, okay, they made my forehead way short, or like something looks off with the eyes or something. Not everything was flawless, but the ones I saved, I was like, okay, these look pretty good. For foundation, for the overall skin look, I mean, we're thinking really full coverage. Obviously the skin looks good. We're gonna use this Juvia's Place I Am Magic foundation. This is in the shade Capri. Maybe not quite a full pump all the way down. This one packs a punch, y'all. I love using this. I'm just gonna dab it around and I'm gonna blend this in with my beauty blender. Or lately I've actually been using my little Sonia Kashuk sponge. Gosh, even the not quite full pump is, I think, a little more than I needed. I would love to hear if you tried this trend, if you felt like the pictures really reflected your overall look. Were they accurate? Were they realistic? Or were they not so much? Yeah, this foundation is definitely giving the kind of look we need. Somebody did ask me, like, did any of these pictures actually look like you in high school? Because I feel like they really look more like me now, just because I'm closer to doing my makeup this way at this point in time. But the one with the softball outfit on, I thought, you know, that face looks more like me, less done up. And that would have been the way my makeup looked more like in high school. My makeup was never this snatched, anywhere near this snatched as what I do now. Like, I like my look better now at 39 years old than I did in high school. I did my makeup, I enjoyed doing makeup, but I'm better at it now. All right, so there's that foundation all blended in. We need a brightened up under eye, yes, a full coverage kind of under eye. So I'm gonna take my Dermablend Cover Care Concealer. I've really been liking this one so much. I have the shade 15C, and yeah, we're just gonna use this right in here, like innermost corner of the under eye, down in here. So far it's like, yeah, we're not doing anything drastically different than the usual routine. Dabbing this in. Love the coverage on this stuff, but yet it wears well. It doesn't look cakey on me. We went to the pumpkin patch yesterday. It was so fun. We even did a hay rack ride. It was great because Bubba was just into everything. Last year he was like too scared to do the big slide by himself, or he didn't want to bounce on the bouncy thing, and it was just a different story this year. He couldn't hold him back from anything. He was like trying to climb on various tractors that were just sitting around. He's just a different little kid than he was a year ago. Okay, I'm just trying to do a little extra blending there. Okay, looking good, really even. I'm thinking Maybelline Fit Me to set this. We just want that bright, even under eye, you know? And I'm just using my hot pink powder puff here. Guys, I think I might need to do a mum inspired makeup look because I have the prettiest like berry colored mums outside and they're in full bloom right now. And it's like, I need to find a lip color that is exactly that. And Kitten, if you could just squeak the door on an ongoing basis, that would be great. There's our set under eye, and then I like to take my Morphe under eye bullet brush because there's always a little more than we need there. So this is exactly what I've intended to do so far. We want full coverage. We want the under eye looking brighter than the rest of the face. And I do want to set the face a little bit with some other powder, just because this foundation, it does leave you feeling a little bit dewy, and I want everything to be really consistent all over the face. I'm going to pull out a little bit of this L'Oreal Infallible, and I don't wear this heavily because this is a powder foundation, but the tone is just really good for all over the face setting. So I literally just dab this 107 brush in and kind of stamping it over the parts of my face that did not get the Maybelline Fit Me. This is going to be an amazing staying power day with these types of products. Then both of the looks that I'm kind of channeling have a real bronziness to them. So I'm not only going to do some cream contour, but I'm going to definitely go over that with some powder bronzer too, just to sort of amp up the skin tone a bit. So to get the look, I think I'm going to use Persona's Dune, and then I'm going to top it off with Wet n Wild Wet Shady Beaches. And I think it appears that I do have some kind of nose contour in these pictures as well, so I'm probably going to have to do that too. But we're going to go kind of high on the cheek, make sure we're, you know, getting sort of that lift. There's a little contour here. I feel like my chin might look a little more, I don't know, pinched in. And we're going to get some nose contour going and kind of start it. Hi, boo-boo. We're starting that nose contour up a little bit higher than I might normally. And I'm just going to use my Sephora 56. See how easily that blends in? Blend this in. Look at that, high on the cheek. I think we're getting somewhere. Blending this out a little. I don't know, I'm not much of a nose contourer, guys, so it's a little hard for me. If you're thinking about getting a contour stick, Persona or M Cosmetics. Those are my favorite lines for super easy to blend sticks. Okay, I can't forget to blend down here. So we're really trying to angle that jaw a bit more. Like I said, slim it just a little bit more toward the chin. Take away all facial bloating. Okay, pleased with that. Now, like I said, we're topping it off with more bronzer because these truly have a very bronzy look, the ones that I'm channeling. So Wet n Wild Wet Shady Beaches, that looks like this. It's one of my deeper powder bronzers, and it is matte. What we really have is a pretty even complexion that looks contoured, like it looks like it has dimension, but it doesn't necessarily look like it's dewy, beaming with light, you know? Look at us adding a little more. And down the neck. My camera lighting is washing me out ever so slightly, but in person I feel like I've got even more depth on the face. And something I'm loving about these pictures too is you can really tell I've got some blush on. It's really out here on the side and it seems to take up kind of a wide surface area, but the placement feels a little different than what I might normally do. I would peg it as a very close shade to this Too Faced Cloud Crush in the shade Velvet Crush. This kind of dusty rose does still come off with a little warmth. I feel like I'm seeing a lot of warmth from the skin, and then the eye look, color-wise, might be a little bit cooler, like there's no glaring warmth coming from the eye, but I'm gonna use some of this and see if we can get that sort of look going. So it's more out here, and it's approaching. It doesn't probably go beyond this point, okay? We're not gonna let it go in any further than that. But it does come a little lower, like it's a whole chunk of skin. Bring it up a little higher, bring it down a little lower, but just don't bring it past, like, I don't know, the middle of my eye. I think the shade is right on. We can go to there, but we have to stop. Oh, the restraint. I always want to go in a little bit more, so this is a little change for me. And then for highlighter, I really don't want to go too far because I'm not that glowing in these pictures. I'm going to take my Laura Geller compact that has the 4 different shades in it. So it's got kind of like a couple of matte highlighters with the Baked French Vanilla and what's the other one? French Kiss. Those are like soft, barely there shimmers. And then it has a couple shades that do have some shimmer. I'm just going to bounce around all of them. And okay, we're going to try to keep the light right in here. It's like right under the eye and not necessarily really out here. I don't think I've ever done highlight where it just stayed right in here, but that's really where the only spot where light is really grabbing. It's interesting. I thought the face was just really going to be my everyday face makeup, but as I look at the pictures, there are some things that I have to stop and consider and do a little differently. Okay, and then I might take a little bit of like the 2 more matte highlights and let a little bit of that come right down the nose. Maybe we do a smidgen of glowy highlight at the tip of the nose, judging from this Head and Shoulders shot here. Are we good with this? I think this is doing good. I've been wearing and having just great success, and this is no like newfound knowledge here. I've always known Urban Decay All Nighter does well for me. I've just been using it a lot more lately. Just about 3 misses is all it takes. Okay, face is set. We've tried to follow it as much as we could. Next, we're gonna do the brows. The brows really feel a lot like what I normally do with my brows. The overall shape is, that's my shape. So I'm gonna use my Estee Lauder Brow Perfect 3D, the all-in-one styler. I love this thing. I think this is gonna be a definite repurchase for me. My shade says Cool Brown, or the number is 07. And yeah, we're just gonna do our classic usual fill in. I start off with the pencil, and then I like going over it with the little powder dabber, because then you get really nice symmetry. You get really nice like even intensity and color between both brows, I feel. What's the outer part of the brow doing? I mean, it's really, that looks like my normal shape. In the later years of high school and college, I really wish I wouldn't have thinned out my brows so much. It's like, okay, Em, when you take out your unibrow, you don't have to also turn your remaining brow into Pam Anderson. But to be fair, everybody in my magazines had these skinny little brows. I will never go back to that trend. I will never revisit the barely there brow trend for me. That's just not me. That's not what my face wants to do naturally. It wants to produce some brow, and I'm not gonna stop it, other than the unibrow. Okay, so we're pretty well filled in here. And then I go over to the middle part of this, which is this neat little powder dabber. And just kind of go over everything I just did. And then everything gets evened out. It's like it catches any spots where you were maybe a little sparse or uneven. It just makes it all even. And then we have our gel. It's just a clear gel, but it holds really well. These brows in my picture do not appear to be like standing on end, like the laminated brow kind of thing. So I'll just do what I normally do, which is kind of fluffing them here, but letting them sort of lay down over here. My kids are on fall break this week, which isn't quite sinking in. Like I keep thinking, oh, it's a school day. We've got regular school type things to do. Now, the key part of this whole look for me, the most important part to try to follow that feels the most like altered from my regular state is doing the eyes. So we're gonna really be paying attention to eyeliner. I've got an eyeliner that I think works really well for getting across the lash line and also doing this little inner corner job, but not looking too stark about it, okay? So when we get there, I'm excited to share that. But eyeshadow wise, like I was saying, there's definitely some eyeshadow going on. I can see lightness on the lid. I can see darkness in the outer corner. It's not a vastly different application pattern than what I'm used to wearing, but we're just gonna make sure it's not like a super warm palette that I pull out for this. I'm gonna actually put on some lip balm. Use my Laneige caramel apple. Oh, that smells so good. I actually ate caramel apple over the weekend. They're so good, and you just slice them up, you know? The thing that makes me not want a caramel apple is the thought of eating it on a stick, but in slices, heck yeah. I now have a cat on my lap, and I think I'm gonna use the ColourPop 1111 palette for this one. I believe this is now on Ulta's website, by the way, because I feel like this has enough depth. You know, we're really going to work into these dark shades in the outside. There's a little bit of rosiness. You can see that coming up a bit. Yeah, I think this is going to be good. All the picks have a little brightness around inner corner and the inner part of the lid. All right, so I'm going to begin with a little bit of that rosiness. I'm going to use this one called Protection right here. This matte mid-tone rose. So far this palette has been a like for me, not an absolute love. And I think it's just because some of the shimmers are just going 100 miles an hour, you know? They're really bold, they're really frosty. Definitely stretching this rosiness up a little bit because I can see it if I really hone in on these looks. Okay, there's that. Now we want to edge it a little deeper. I'm going to go down to this one called Right Path right here, this brown. We got two browns. One is a little bit warmer and a little less dark. And we're just going to add that into the crease too. I love the slow build of a crease, you know. I do always get excited when I see my clock say 11:11. I'll take all the little good luck signs or God winks that I can get throughout a day, you know? Now we're gonna really start to cool it down, deepen it up toward the outside. I'm gonna go to Empowered right here. So that's our deep cool brown and a flat brush. I'm gonna get this over the outer lid. It's just really fascinating to me how AI keeps a certain amount of things the same, but the spin that was taken on the makeup is fascinating to me. Okay, we're getting it up in this area, but we're also really gonna try to elongate a bit. And we are gonna have a lash on this as well because I can just see it from these looks. There's a lash. It's not your boldest lash ever, but it's kind of something that continues to take the eye kind of from side to side. Same shade, smaller brush. Paying attention to going in the outer direction. And we don't want to drop it down. We have a really nice lift in these pictures, and we always want to imagine that line going from corner of eye to the outer tip of the brow and not dropping down below that with our shadow application, but keeping it up on and above that line. So this is just all our dark brown, that dark cool shade right here called Empowered. Oops, I didn't use my flat brush yet with that on this eye. Dabbing it first. I think this is very on point color-wise with what I'm seeing in the pictures. I do like the blushes that are in this 11:11 line too. I could have used some of those today. Even the really lightest looking one does show on the skin. Actually, we might have popped that on in a recent video, I want to say. Okay, again, edging it out. And as of now, guys, this is my reference photo. If you keep seeing me look down, like that's where we're at. I'm thinking it's time to go inward with a little lightness. I'm first gonna fade out of this with the shade called Lucky Babe right here. This is a matte. You see we have that rosiness over here, and then we have this kind of beigey color. And I'm just going to use a little bit of that to fade from our dark shade. And I'm going to use that mostly here because honestly it doesn't look that frosty. It just looks light. It doesn't look glowy until we get to the innermost corner. And there I think I will take Total Angel, see if it won't be too chunky, and just hit that inner corner. Hit it with a little frost right there. Yeah, this stuff, I was not doing an eye look like this in high school by any means. Under the eye, an interesting thing is happening. It seems as though the inner rim does not appear to be fully lined, but it looks deeper than just normal. So what I think I'm gonna do is grab Laura Mercier Caviar Stick and Cocoa. I think might be about right here. And we're gonna use that on the lower inner rim, just to kind of take it down a notch. That might have been just a little too dark, I don't know. We're just trying here. Actually, I'm literally gonna smudge into that. There we go. Take away a little. Yeah, literally took some of that off, but it looks murkier than it does as is. There's definitely a fairly pronounced lower lash going on, but there is darkness right in the lash line. And for that, I'm going to take an angled brush. I'm going to use Empowered right here, the dark cool brown. And we are just going to nudge that right in between the lashes. And this will look a little softened up and different once we get the lower lash mascara on. Okay, got that? Then we're gonna do our liner, and I can see this in various looks, and yeah, we're really gonna refer to the biker one. You can see that liner is clearly coming to a point out of the inside, and I feel like a dark brown liquid liner does this really well because it doesn't look like so stark in real life when you're going into that innermost corner, okay? You want it to look like it was just meant to be there, you know? And sometimes I think black just doesn't pull it off as well. So I'm actually using this. This is the Too Faced Better Than Sex liquid liner in the chocolate shade. And I'm gonna line my eyes. I'm gonna give it, we can't really tell because of the lash. We can't really tell how much of an outer wing there is, but I'll wing it up a little bit. I'm just kind of starting in the center of my eye, and we'll wing it out here just a little. You want to stay with that lift, you know? But yeah, the eyeliner is what it's all about, I think, for this look. That elongated eye left to right. Okay, I've got my whole eye lined. Now, I want it to point. So I'm extending it a little bit. And this is the difference between using brown and black here. And then I'm going ever so slightly under too. Ooh, it's a small move, but it's key. Give it just a little point. Do we see? So you see in those pictures where the eye, they've got me in a little bit of a squint almost. What did me and Pup call that back in the day? A squinch? Got a little bit of that. The eye looks longer left to right. All right, let's do it on the other side. My hand just went and decided to do a much bigger wing over here, but I think it looks good, and I think I can just extend this side over a little to match it. That wing is just going to fall right in line with the lashes, so it's really not a big deal. Now I got to do this. Literally pointing right out of the tear duct. We're turning into a cat. And then, like I said, pulling it in a little bit, going that way too. For some reason, a bunch more liquid just came out of that side. Again, there's something about pulling off this look with brown instead of black when it's coming all the way to the inner corner. It just ends up looking just a little bit softer. I'm going to go back to my angled brush too, back to the dark brown called Empowered here. And this side especially just needs a little bit down under that wing. Same over here, where the wing starts to meet the lower lash line. I think our shadow is shaped well. I think we're ready to move on to the mascara now. So we're gonna curl the lashes. I'm gonna use some IT Cosmetics Superhero. And then the lash that I grabbed is not an extremely big lash. It has kind of a Demi Wispies look. I think it's the So Wispy from Kiss number 11, trimmed up just a little bit. that's gonna be what we end up putting on. I'll give you a better look at that in a second. First off, the superhero. It's coming together, can't you see it? The only thing is, like, if you get really watery with your eyes or you find yourself like needing to rub your inner corner, you know, it's hard to keep that looking this way the entire day. But I will say that Too Faced pen does a pretty darn good job in the staying power department. I feel like I might be able to bring my blush up just a little bit more, just looking at the pictures. I can't bring it in anymore toward my nose, but I can bring it up a little more. Looking for ways to incorporate more blush. Okay, that's our IT Cosmetics side of things. I'll do the bottom lash last. This is, again, the kind of lash we're going for. We're thinking something wispy, something that's definitely longer on the outside than the inside, because this is the whole vibe of these pictures, is the elongated left to right eye. So I'm gonna pop these on and I'll be right back. Alrighty guys, I got the lash put on. I feel like it's perfect. I feel like it's totally the shape we needed. See how it's falling right in line with the liner, which is falling right in line with the shape of the eyeshadow. Now we need to put on this lower mascara, because that's also a consistent move that I saw in the pictures, was we definitely had a lower lash going on. Again, the eyeshadow, we just brought it right in there, kind of between the lashes. We don't have stark black in our lower inner rim, but we sort of tried to smudge some dark brown in there a little bit. I think we got it eventually where it needed to be. But yeah, we need some lower lash pretty much on the whole lower lash. I was gonna say strip, but these are my lashes. The whole lower lash line. We're gonna follow that. And this is Cali Ray come hell or high water. Trying not to make a mess. Again, we're lighter in the inner corner, but we've got that little point, got the shape. Another thing, like I noticed, I feel like we can go higher with the blush. There's definitely a blushy look coming up to really just under the eye. So we're going back to our, again, this is the shade Velvet Crush. It's a matte blush. We're gonna bring it right up into here. Right up. Wow, okay. Ooh, I think I might actually like this blush application. Now for the lips, we're gonna go with a liner and lip gloss combo here. I'm gonna use my Hard Candy Instapout lip liner in the shade Kiss and Tell. This is gonna give us sort of that deepened nude type of look. I'm looking at this picture, by the way, this is my reference. And it doesn't really look like they took my lips and made them drastically larger or anything. They look about the same. I love this overall color. I paired this with a lot of things. Okay, so there we are filled in, and then there's like a little shimmer there on the lips, and I'm gonna use this new gloss that I got from Dollar General. It's the LA Colors Moisturizing Lip Gloss. I heard somebody raving on the shade Topaz, and they didn't have Topaz, so I got the Tickled Pink, but it's got that shimmer, and I think it's gonna be absolutely perfect. Yes, perfect for this look right there. Catching the light a little bit. It doesn't look super pink or anything. We just need the reflectivity of it all. There she is. She's done. Now can I get the facial pose? I don't know. I'm trying. But overall elements of the look, just to review, we tried to bronze up the skin as a whole. We did that by way of a glowy bronzy primer, but then we used a couple of different methods with the stick layered with powder bronzer just to warm up the skin. Blush placement felt different here. It did not cross over like the center of the eye. It didn't go any more inward there, and it stayed out here, fairly wide swath here, going from about cheekbone all the way up to practically the under eye area. That was our blush zone, and I think we pretty well nailed it. I think we really did good on the overall finish of the skin. We used brightness to our advantage, but not necessarily shimmer. We used that brightening Laura Geller highlighter. We stayed with a concealer that would give us more light and brightness in the center of the face like this. The eye, it was really all about the shape of the liner. I think many different things could have been used to accomplish the eyeshadow, but you know, we could see the little bit of like rosy transition shade. We could see darkness on the outside, lightness on the inside, some shimmer around the innermost corner, and then that point of the liner, really coming in, making our eye look very elongated. The liner helped with that, and so did the lash. A much heavier, lower mascara application than I might normally do, but that's just the look. That's what we're trying to imitate, and then the reflective glossy shine there on the lip. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. This was really fun to do. Again, I don't think we should see the AI pictures of ourselves and be like, oh, that's what I need to look like. That's the way I must be. Do you do what you want to do, but I just felt like this was kind of fun, just really paying attention to what kind of makeup AI gave me and seeing if I could kind of bring that back in real life. So thanks for your time, everybody. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.